Mark Sanders was a man who had long known the weight of building walls, both physical and metaphorical. A builder with steady hands and a simple life, he watched his reality crumble along with the foundations of the city when the earthquake hit. It's not uncommon for everything we've built over years to vanish in the blink of an eye. Losing his job was tough, but losing his home was a blow that left him adrift. He lived on the streets, aimlessly, grappling with the loneliness and despair of someone who no longer saw any future. Many don't realize it, but the feeling of being without a safe harbor can shake anyone's confidence, especially someone who was used to building shelters for others. Mark spent his days wandering, searching the city's corners for any remnants of hope. But life on the streets, with the cold wind hitting him at night and indifferent stares during the day, became a daily test of resilience. It wasn't just the city that cracked. Inside Mark, a sense of powerlessness grew, distancing him from the memories of what he once was. However, as we often learn in the hardest times, it is in adversity that we sometimes find the most unlikely opportunities. Mark's journey on the streets seemed like a downward spiral with no end, but the universe has a curious way of putting small challenges in our path, almost like silent tests. Sometimes life pushes us into the darkest corners before illuminating a new direction. It was in this context of hopelessness that something unexpected was about to happen, an opportunity to reconnect with what he did best, helping and rebuilding. One morning, as Mark walked aimlessly through the square, a scene caught his attention. An elderly man, clearly struggling, was trying to fix a broken wheelchair. The scene was symbolic. A man, much like Mark, battling his own set of adversities. Despite his exhaustion and hunger, Mark couldn't ignore the instinct telling him to help. He knew that despite all his hardships, he still possessed something valuable: his manual skills. Without a second thought, he approached and offered his help. The old man was surprised by the gesture. It wasn't common for someone, especially in Mark's situation, to volunteer assistance. But Mark, with the patience and precision of a builder, repaired the wheelchair using makeshift tools he found nearby. That act of generosity reflected who he truly was, someone who, despite losing so much, still had the desire to fix what was broken, even when his own life was in pieces. This kind of attitude often reflects a practical wisdom. What you give to the world has a way of coming back, in ways you may never expect. The elderly man thanked him sincerely, and although Mark expected nothing in return, he felt a momentary peace from having helped someone in need. Sometimes, small gestures can change the course of things, even if we don't realize it right away. That brief encounter, so simple and spontaneous, was already starting to weave new threads into Mark's fate, something he would only come to understand in time. After all, as life often teaches us, what we give with an open heart, sooner or later, finds its way back to us. The next day, Mark was surprised by something he never could have predicted. Some people came looking for him, asking if he was the man who had helped an elderly gentleman in the square. Not fully understanding, he confirmed, and that's when the story took on a new layer of meaning. The elderly man he had helped was, in fact, the father of one of the city's most respected business owners. Mark's gesture had deeply touched the family, not only for repairing the wheelchair, but also for his honesty in returning the wallet the elderly man had lost in the park. This act, which seemed to Mark like the right thing to do, had sparked a wave of admiration. The family's gratitude was immediate, but for Mark, what mattered was simply doing the right thing without expecting recognition. Indeed, it is often the simplest actions, done with pure intent, that create the greatest impact. Moved by Mark's character, the businessman decided he had to do something for him. Sometimes, the universe moves in subtle ways, and what seemed like just another day on the streets was about to turn into a pivotal moment. It's interesting how unexpected moments can lead us to places we never imagined. That gratitude, filled with recognition and respect, was not just a tribute to what Mark had done, but also an opening to something much bigger. By the end of that conversation, one thing became clear. Mark was about to receive an opportunity that would completely change the course of his life, and this opportunity wouldn't just be a reward for his kindness, but a chance to rebuild his own story. Months passed, and Mark became a crucial part of the foundation, not only rebuilding houses, but restoring hope and dignity to countless families. His work had a tremendous impact, both on others and on himself. Each wall he raised represented a piece of his own life being restructured. Through this process, Mark began to realize that by helping others find a home, he was also, in some way, finding himself again. What he didn't expect was that the story didn't end there. One day, while working on a new project, the same businessman who had helped him returned with another unexpected offer. He wanted Mark to take on a leadership position at the foundation. He asked Mark to use his experience and skills to oversee large-scale construction projects, allowing more people to benefit from his work. Mark accepted with humility and gratitude, knowing that this was the next step in his journey. Not only had he overcome the tragedy that had brought him down, but he was now leading a project that transformed the lives of others. The cycle of generosity that began with a simple act of fixing a wheelchair had led him to something far greater than he could have imagined. Life, in its subtle way, returns what we offer it, often in the most unpredictable ways. Mark, once a man who had lost everything, was now a builder, not only of homes, but of hope and futures for those who, like him, needed a fresh start.